27th of January 2023 here in Cusco, Peru, and there's lots of news to report. I wrapped up a whole bunch of stuff yesterday, but I didn't actually manage to get video uploaded because I had a bunch of work to do also. So anyway, here is going to be the rundown of what we've got coming up today. I think it's safe to say that people are getting tired of protesting, but they're still doing it because people feel it's that important. Here is a very small march going by the apartment. Everybody is and has been going and gathering in Plaza Tupac Amaru and then leaving out from there to do other marches and just sitting and blocking roads. A lot of things are running short in Cusco, among other places. This is partly due to roadblocks and partly due to other kinds of shortages. For example, we have no gas for cars to be filled up at gas stations, and there is no propane gas in tanks for cooking and the hot water heater. In other cases, they are reducing production due to shortage of chicken feed that normally comes in from Bolivia and because they can't ship product around the country. So it might feel like a disconnect for El Peruano to note that the economy of the country is expected to grow by 2.2% in 2023, outstripping a number of other countries, including the USA. The Prime Minister, who's the head of the cabinet, urges Congress to go ahead and try and ratify the date for when new general elections will be held. There are some questions as to when this can be, and there are numerous authorities, including regional governors, who say there's got to be a way to go ahead and move it forward to 2023. There just has to be a way to do it this year. And even past President Martin Vizcarra says the solution is for Boluarte to resign. So the head of Congress would be the next in line for the president if Boluarte resigns or is vacated, as in removed from office. Even among shortages, you can still go out for a really delightful breakfast, and there's a lot to enjoy around Cusco. Normally, these streets, which I've sped up my walk through, are very full, even at this time of day, with tourists who are looking to buy souvenirs and people who would like to sell them souvenirs. Right now, they're very empty because there is essentially no tourist presence around Cusco, which is really unusual. But there you have it. Anyway, as you can see, these streets are not presently dangerous streets. Everything is really quite chill, although you are at greater risk, perhaps than usual, of being interrupted in your walk by people who would like to sell you something because there are fewer and fewer people out to buy things because there are so few tourists. And like I say, we are really feeling the pinch of a lot of stuff here in Cusco right now with no gas, whether we mean combustible, which is fuel for your car, or gas, which is liquid propane gas in tanks that is used for cooking. A number of gas stations, as you saw earlier, were out of anything altogether. So yeah, the Plaza de Armas yesterday morning was more full of vendors than tourists, which is really pretty uncommon, but there you have it. Still a really delightful walk, and there's still a whole lot of things to see. You really can enjoy a whole lot of stuff around Cusco, but there is the risk of schedule interruption. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to walk down Calle Loreto a little ways, and then I took some of these short videos to show some friends around town and in the Sacred Valley exactly how deserted it is around Cusco right now, which is very deserted. Normally you see crowds in these tourist areas, but not today. Not today at all. This is Calle Loreto and quite empty. This is Calle Maruri, a very busy street. Normally there is traffic on it, and even without tourist presence, there has been vehicle traffic because regular Cusqueños who live here need to get around. But yesterday, with concerns about fuel shortages, things were even emptier than they have been. So really pretty remarkable stuff to say. As we continue our stroll, let me tell you what some of the big news items are. And that includes, we don't really know what kind of protests we're going to be seeing today, Friday, the 27th of January, 2023. But we do know that there has been a moción de vacancia, or a movement to impeach put forth for the current president, Dina Boluarte, and that needs 66 votes in order to be voted upon and 87 votes in order to go through. If Dina Boluarte is removed from office, then the next person in line is Jose Williams, who is the president of Congress, and he would be sworn in almost immediately as the new president. And we would have to see what happens from there. It's a little unpredictable. He generally has been considered to be a fairly right-wing guy, so a number of people have previously thought it would not be that desirable for folks who have a centrist or more left-leaning agenda to want to see him take the presidency. But at this point, I think opinions may be shifting because nobody's that happy with politically vague position Dina Boluarte. The big news probably today is that the Ministry of the Interior and the Ministry of Defense issued a big statement saying that they're going to go forth with the full force of law and unblock the roads, the streets, the main highways that are in the areas where a state of emergency has been declared. And it's not entirely definitely clear exactly how they're going to prioritize that, which things they mean, because there is a little bit of vagueness as to whether they mean the specific roads that have been declared under state of emergency or everything in all of the protest areas that have been declared under emergency. And so, hard to say exactly what that's going to mean, and hard to say what they mean by unblock the roads by whatever means necessary, because, that could get stickier than things already are at this point in time. There's still plenty of protest action going on. Yesterday afternoon, we all got tired enough of the air horns and other sorts of things like that we decided to go out. And of course, just as soon as we had decided to go out, all of this started happening, and that means traffic gets trickier and stickier. And there was a big chunk of time where several thousand protesters were actively blocking by just sitting in the streets Avenida de la Cultura, the main drag through town, and Avenida Garcilaso, where I live, is also a pretty important route. So there was not an awful lot of movement in terms of traffic. These are mainly indigenous groups from other provinces, other parts of the Cusco area who are coming in and marching. And then some of them are staying in Cusco. Some of them go home on a nightly basis if they're close and can get back and forth. And others are going on to Lima because there's still a steady stream of protesters headed for Lima, along with the potentially more than 100,000 who are already there all around the area of Lima and whatnot. Like I say, it does get a little old listening to air horns and protest chants all the time. And then out the back of the apartment, then there is the military helicopter that keeps flying around, and that gets old too. And then we had some thunderstorms, and that got old. So, I put in my noise-canceling headphones to try and get a break for a little bit. And then we were all just so tired of the situation that we decided to go get massages because our favorite massage person was working and totally empty. So, we did our part for continuing the economic viability and whatnot. As you can see, it is common for people to pull down their steel security doors and close things up when marches go by. One of the unpopular things said lately is that they will be giving a bonus to police. This is not popular in the South, so this slide clarifies that supposedly it is a debt that was due from the previous administration. In other unpopular statements, the president said that Puno is not Peru, meaning that there is more to Peru than Puno, and that hasn't been popular in indigenous communities especially, so the meme at the right is talking about many of the things that Puno has going for it, and also the issues that it has with water, potable water, and where it's available. And some people have asked me, so why would you talk about where potable water is or is not available. How is that like a thing you want to highlight? And the reason you want to highlight it is because this is a very wealthy and wealth-producing region of Peru, and in a large part of it, nobody has potable water in their homes. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do a class here, so I don't have long, but I'm going to try to get this up real quick. And I just want to say that today, even though I have been posting about this and trying to make sure that it is everywhere on all my social media and that it all links to all the other stuff, and that I'm telling people you can get the longest long form stuff on YouTube with daily updates, and I've been writing about it on Twitter, on Mastodon, on Facebook, talking about it on my own Discord server, posting stuff about it on Instagram, and making TikToks about it. Anyway, I just had somebody who's my friend on social media respond to me posting an update, and they said, "What's happening in Peru?" And first of all, you can like scroll back and see what I've been saying is happening in Peru. And second of all, like a lot is happening in Peru. And like, even though I am greatly disappointed in the news that there has been in English, there hasn't been absolutely zero. It's been limited. But like, what's happening in Peru? I don't even know where to start. I've just spent 6 fucking weeks telling everybody what's happening in Peru every fucking day. That's what's happening in Peru. There's been 6 weeks of civil unrest, and it's still going on. So that's what's happening. Anyway, yeah, again, the big news today is that they're going to start desbloqueando carreteras, or, unblocking the roads with the military and by force and whatnot. So I guess we'll see how that goes. That's probably the big news. And I just thought I would close with a couple of nighttime shots of what it looks like around Plaza Tupac Amaru right now, with people practicing dancing and kids out and about, and also the olla común, or the community kitchen stuff happening, and it's here by the statue to Tupac Amaru, revolutionary leader, and with memorials of everyone in his family who died. And finally, let's start the day off looking at a couple of news items, like the USA declines to help with dialogue, lots of different perspectives from lots of different newspapers, and things are still pretty concerning. It's interesting to see all the different perspectives, some of which talk about the economy, some of which talk about the state of the country, and all of which are concerning. Like I've said before, I think it's very likely that protests will settle down and calm down as soon as there is an actual definite date for new elections. And I think that would be a really big help, and hopefully that can be resolved. Although, since Congress does not meet to vote on that question until it's back in session, formal legislative session, on the 15th of February, who knows? It's entirely possible that the moción de vacancia, the motion to impeach Dina Boluarte, could go through before we're even to that point, at which point I don't know where things go. Anyway, yeah, so stay tuned. Always lots more to know about what's happening in Peru. Talk to you soon.